Hello friends, and welcome back to another tutorial. It's Morgana again here today with this lovely windswept loose grasses and seed heads demonstration. I began today by using masking fluid to mask out a few random sweeping seed heads and grass lines. You can see there's not too many there, just enough to give a decent backdrop to the lovely directional wash we're about to put on. This is my Pebeo drawing gum that I used. I really enjoy using this one. It has a lovely consistency, it goes on very well, and I like the colour too. Speaking of colours, these are my colours for today. I will pop a list of all my equipment in the video description as per usual. You can see now I'm just wetting the paper all over ready for the wash with an extra large Harte brush. Nice big brush to get that water on nice and quickly, and you can see that masking fluid is doing a wonderful job of keeping that paper protected in the areas that it's on. So now I'm starting with my first colour. This is raw sienna that I'm putting on straight away. With watercolour, a nice general rule to use is to work from light through to dark with colour. So of course we're starting with the nice white paper, which is as light as you can get with the masking fluid. And then this is the second lightest colour, this lovely yellowish golden colour, which I'm just putting on in these long sort of sweeping patterns before starting with the sort of background colour really to these lovely grasses. I've decided to use cerulean blue here because it's one of my favourite blues. I enjoy using it particularly for sky paintings, and I like the idea that we're close down among these lovely grasses looking through them up at the blue summer sky beyond. So this is why from this top corner I'm just sweeping a large decent amount of cerulean blue down into the raw sienna. You can see here I'm not being too sort of careful or precious with these strokes. I'm really just sort of going for it with my brush, as long as I'm trying to maintain that directionality of the blue coming in from the top right corner and keeping these lovely warm yellow colours coming in from the bottom left. This is going to be a lovely loose painting. This is the background. I'm trusting my colours to start diffusing beautifully as my paper is wet, so I'm not too worried about how streaky the blue looks because I know it's all going to soften down as I keep working. And you can see here my next colour is burnt sienna. So we have burnt and raw sienna. They harmonise so beautifully, as you can see, this lovely vibrant almost orange colour, but not like a garish orange, like a beautiful rusty orange, like a fox orange. Just sweeping it on in that nice directional way. The brush I'm using for this, if anybody's interested, is a Princeton Neptune Mottler brush, sized 1 inch. Basically it's a small synthetic wash brush really. A flat brush which I'm really enjoying using for this directional work because you can see you can get a variety of different marks from it. You can get these lovely broad sweeps using the wide part of the flat brush, or you can do as I am now and turn it sideways and get these thinner strokes as well, with a lovely variation to the thickness, which does imitate the sort of natural way that you see reeds and grasses to grow. You can see I'm just layering up these colours, working from light to dark, but mixing a few of them in and over so they start to blend in beautifully. We've got a lovely variety of warm colour here against that lovely blue. I'm just spattering a little bit of paint on as well. That was a synthetic fan brush dipped in some quite watery paint. You can just tap it on and you can see these lovely speckles appearing, these lovely loose and natural looking spatters of colour that just give an extra little bit of dimension to this painting. For the speckles, I am doing some in raw sienna, some in burnt sienna, and these last ones you can see in the burnt umber, which is the other colour that I'm using. I can't remember if I said that or not, but yeah, so the warm colours for today are raw sienna, burnt sienna, and burnt umber, and the lovely sky blue is cerulean blue. You can see I'm checking the dryness of my paper now. You can see at the bottom left corner it's still quite wet, but at the top the shine has come off the paper, which means it's ready for our first little trick. We're going to use some salt effects today. I'm just using ordinary cheap table salt and sprinkling it lightly on those areas of paper where the shine has just come off, but it is still nicely damp. You can see I'm not using too much, just a gentle sprinkle, less than you probably would for some fish and chips perhaps. And you can already see this is about 30 seconds after putting it on. We're already getting some lovely little tiny salt blooms forming on the paper. You can see it starts off just like these little tiny little sort of mini cauliflowers really. Little fairy blooms starting. And these are some photographs I took about 2 minutes after putting the salt on. You can see the blooms have started to grow. This is an effect that takes a little time to happen, but I think it's well worth the wait. And here we are, this is the painting now it's dried. You can see the salt has had its full effect. You can see those lovely white sort of crystalline shapes have appeared. Just brush off the salt before you do anything. And now I'm also going to remove the masking fluid. Now you can do this two ways, just using a finger, a clean finger, like I'm doing, or just use a simple rubber or eraser to just gently remove the latex. You can see that I'm just demonstrating that now. This is probably a better way to do it if you have a lot of masking fluid to take off, like I do in this one. And just as you go, just make sure you're brushing those little crumbs of masking fluid clear from the paper, so you're left with a lovely clean piece of paper, lovely clean and clear shapes like this. Got our little butterfly on the top there. Really happy with all these lovely sort of directional lines that have been kept white. Now I'm using a new brush today that I'm just going to show you quickly. This is from ProArt. It's a small sword liner or sword brush. You can see the tip there is quite long, and if I wet it quickly just to show you, it comes to this lovely sharp point, so you can get these incredibly expressive fine lines with it. You can see the large amount of fibre there means it will hold a good amount of paint or water, so you can get these lovely long strokes without having to go back and constantly dip your brush in your paint or your water. You can just do these incredibly long and beautiful strokes. Really get some expressive lines in there. You can see I'm actually having so much fun using this brush. This is a new one for me, and one that I would immediately highly recommend to literally everyone. This was so much fun to do. I think I did rather get a bit carried away with this, in fact. But that's art, isn't it? We're supposed to enjoy it. What's the point otherwise? You can see I'm using the tip to just do these lovely fine lines, and what's even more fun with the sword liner is because of the nature of the shape of it, if you vary the pressure from your hand, you can actually get some different widths as you do the line. I'll demonstrate that for you in a minute, but for now you can see I'm just using a combination of the raw sienna and the burnt sienna to put in some initial strokes. Here is the variation. You can see just by a little extra pressure on that sword liner, just putting those lovely natural looking grass shapes out there using the burnt sienna. And you can use it to do this lovely fine detail as well, just using the tip, or like you can see here, pressing down slightly and using the whole lovely length of the bristles here. This is a synthetic brush as well, which I really enjoy using. I use a lot of synthetic brushes in my work as much as possible. Again, can highly recommend this. It's great fun to use, and you can see here that it's created some lovely natural looking loose grass and reed and seed designs. So I'm coming in now with some burnt umber to give a little extra depth. Basically, as I'm putting in these loose grasses, I'm trying to vaguely follow the pale lines I have left with the masking fluid, using them to sort of give a little bit of shadow and dimensionality to the lines, but I'm also just freely doing my own sort of strokes and patterns wherever I look at the paper and think, that could do with a nice a nice little bit of grass or two, or anywhere it looks a little bit empty. Just starting to fill up the paper, working from that lower left hand corner upwards, following the directionality that we have in this beautiful loose background wash. As you can see, just putting in the last few beautiful loose lines with the sword liner, you can see I've added a few sort of wisps and whimsical sort of lines here, just building up the colour and building up these beautiful wild grasses, imagining the wind pushing them from left to right. You can almost hear the rattle, the susurrus of the grasses shaking in the wind. And now all I'm doing is using a round brush. This is a medium-sized synthetic round watercolour brush, and I'm just using the tip of it here to dab in some detail on some of these grasses to create these lovely little seed heads. It really is just very simple. You can see I'm just doing gentle strokes, keeping my touch light and just using the point of this brush to just go in and give those lovely natural looking little lines that come to a fine point, just really making the best use of this lovely brush. Just following the lines that I've already done, trying not to be too precious or careful about it, trying to still maintain some spontaneity in my brush strokes here. I'm utilising the sort of skeletal structure that I built up first with the masking fluid, following these little white lines that are still there after our background wash. You can see I'm sort of going over them, but I'm also trying to leave hints of them visible peeping through, just to give an extra shimmer of dimensionality to them. And now I'm starting on that butterfly. This is just going to be a very simple little white butterfly. Having said that, I am filling in the white that was left by the masking fluid, but so often white in nature can appear almost blue by comparison to the colours around it. So to give a little extra boost to my butterfly, I'm filling in the wings with an incredibly light little bit of blue. There you can see the cerulean blue. It doesn't really look blue once I've put it on, it just looks sort of like a shadow. I'm using it to differentiate the top and bottom wings. And to paint this, I'm also using my extra fine Masterstroke Series 60 miniature brush from ProArt. And for our last colour today, I'm just introducing a little Payne's Grey to do the dark spot on the butterfly's wing, and to just do a little bit of detail on those pretty little wings. And just as a finishing touch, I'm adding some last spatter detail over the top. Again, just using my fan brush, dipped in some quite wet, sort of watery loose paint. If you tap it firmly against anything firm, so I'm using another brush here, just get those lovely loose and natural looking spatters. Just to give the further impression, along with the salt, of these little sort of seedlets, little wispy seed bits, perhaps breaking free from the seed husks and the grasses we've got here and drifting freely off into the wind. And here we are with the finished painting today. I'm really pleased with it, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching it too. I hope you love it as much as me. I think this is a wonderful and versatile style of painting and technique that I've shown here. You can do it using any colour really, your favourite colour combination. Yeah, I really enjoyed using this, using my new brushes as well, my sword liner. Please let me know what you think in the comments. I always really enjoy reading them and hearing from you. And a big thank you as well to all of you who've popped over to join me on my Patreon page. For anyone who's interested, I'll pop the link down below with the video description. So that's all from me today. Thank you ever so much for watching. I really appreciate every single one of you. And I'll see you again in the next video.